What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sober Fix podcast channel. Today, we got another episode for you. We got Mike. Now, Mike got started in addiction. He ended up going out, the nightlife, drinking alcohol, popping Adderall, quickly became a problem. He had a hard time stopping, though, and he ended up going into treatment, and he ended up relapsing. Relapsing is definitely a part of my story, and he now has 60 days sober, and he talks about how he finally reached that rock bottom, what he has done to finally maintain sobriety, and what his goals are in the future in staying sober. Hope you guys enjoy the episode. Don't forget to like, comment, share. I've got a bunch of really cool comments from you guys lately. I appreciate you. Let's get into it. What's going on, guys? Thank you, anyone tuning in. If it's the first time listening to this podcast, my name is Drew. I bring a bunch of badass guests on here that share their experience about addiction, recovery, relapses, the things that they've struggled with, the things that they have overcome, all the struggles, man. And I love having guests on here. And something that I find is like we could have completely different environments, completely different upbringings, completely different everything. But when it comes to addiction, we know each other. We've felt the same way, you know? So I got Mike on here today. Mike, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good, not much. Just relaxing. It was a quiet day. Just did some errands. I'm coming up on 60 days on Thursday. So yeah, I've been in and out of sobriety since my early 20s, and I'm gonna be 40 next year. It's time for me to get my shit together.
Hey,
I'm ready.
I was in and out for
Mhm.
so long. I didn't get sober till 31. I first walked in or tried to get sober around like 18. Wasn't ready at all. Me and you were talking about it before we started. I'd go to rehab when the heat was on, but I wasn't
Yep.
quite ready. I was in and out. So I totally get that. I know that people listening have to get that as well. Take me back to the beginning, man. Where are you from, Mike?
I'm originally from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, which is probably like an hour from Boston. I started using, back up to that. My parents were addicts. My dad got clean. My mom passed from a heroin overdose about 10 years ago. So this is her 10-year anniversary. And, yeah, so the addiction, gene was just flowed into me. Like I started using in my early 20s when I moved to Miami. Like coming from Massachusetts, like the nightlife scene was all new to me, like going out clubbing, getting high, and just hooking up with girls like that, like night after night. Like that was all new to me, and I got addicted to it. Like, yeah, God. So and then so after that, I started losing everything, and I started. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous.
Oh, you're
I
good.
started I started using all the time, and I couldn't keep a job. I couldn't keep anything. I started losing everything I had, and it was time for me to get clean. So I left Florida and went to the lighthouse, like we were talking about, and I was doing pretty good out there. But it's just, started falling back in that nightlife and started, doing the same old thing again, and it just same patterns, same behaviors. I didn't apply anything I learned in rehab. So, I started losing everything all over again. I was in and out, been in and out for years. So now I'm finally on the right track and doing really well. Like I've had years before, but I wasn't really working a program. Like they say in AA, like you're dry. Like I wasn't going to meetings. I wasn't working the steps. I'm finally doing the steps for the first time. And I've been going to meetings for about 15 years now. I'm finally doing the steps for the first time. So
Man, I mean, I could relate to all that, and I was the same way. I'd show up to meetings, and because I liked them, I liked being around other people that were dealing with addiction. I enjoyed. It felt like it was a place that I can relate to other people, you know. Because a lot of times I'd be talking to family members or coworkers, people that weren't dealing with addiction, and they just say things like, "Man, like you just need some more willpower. Like you just need to figure out how to stop." And all of a sudden I went into the meetings and it's like, oh, these people understood it. Like they understood what it was like to say, hey, look, I'm done with this stuff. And an hour later have a pipe in your mouth or a needle or a beer, you know? I want to go back to the beginning here. You mentioned kind of the nightlife and going out. Were those the good days for you? Because I remember in the beginning,
yeah, but in my
man.
early 20s, those were the good days till it became not the good days. I don't know if you've ever been to South Beach, but it's crazy down here. Well, it's not like it was like 15 years ago, but it was. And if you do your homework, you see how crazy it is out here. Like nightlife is just so like insane out here out in Miami.
Yeah, and what were you guys? Was the first thing that you were you drinking in the beginning, or how did you get
I was
introduced to
drinking,
drugs?
popping a lot of Adderall to go clubbing at night, and that's something I was described since I was a kid because I have ADHD. So like I was popping Adderall at night, like to go clubbing and just go drinking, popping Red Bulls, like that song. I don't know if you know that song by LMFAO back in the day. I'm in Miami, bitch.
Oh yeah,
Remember
yeah,
that
yeah.
song? Yeah, that's when I was. That's when I moved to Miami when that song was out, and that is so true. If you listen to the lyrics, it's so true about Miami and the nightlife. And then it was just like, popping Adderall all night to go clubbing, and then popping one in the morning to go to work the next day, and just being like sluggish, trying to go to work, having to pop one just to be awake. And then after that, my body couldn't take it. Like when I first moved here, like I said, all that stuff was new to me. Like the whole nightlife was new to me. So I got sucked into it. Like I like that because there's not much of that going on in Cape Cod.
Yeah, and I definitely had my time with Adderall, and as you're talking about it, it just reminds me it was such a vicious cycle for me because when I first started taking it, I got prescribed by a doctor that was pretty crooked, and he was giving me opiates, he was giving me the Xanny bars, he was giving me the Adderall, and long story short, I remember I went in there one day and I had been awake for about a week on meth, and the nurse took my vitals, and she was like,
No,
"Oh my god, like are you okay? Because you're like double what you should be at." And I get called into the doctor, and I'm thinking this guy's gonna cut me off. He's gonna get me, in
I always had that
trouble.
fear too. My doctor's gonna cut me off. Yep.
Yeah, and I go in. He goes, "So you've been going pretty hard lately?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Don't worry, man. We'll just double your Adderall and you'll be good. Just stick to the legal stuff." And I remember just going, "What the hell?" But
What dose were you at? I was at 30 twice a day.
yeah, I was at 30 twice a day
Yeah.
as well. And but like you mentioned, the thing about Adderall that was so vicious for me is your tolerance just builds up. And it's like you need it all the
Mm,
time?
exactly. I flipped our whole house. Like I remodeled my mother's house about like I want to say like 7 or 8 years ago. Popped two Adderall 30s in the morning in a Red Bull, and I'd go to work for the day, painted the house, did the yard. Like I reflipped. I'll have to send you photos. I flipped the whole house on Adderall about like 7 years ago.
But see, the thing that I hated though is I would always run out of my prescription early. Oh, I'd be counting down the days and I'd have that crash. And you said this too. The days that I didn't have it were a nightmare. Like I couldn't even move, dude. I was so lazy, so fatigued, I couldn't focus on anything. Was it like that for you as well?
Yes, yes, especially when you talk about running out early. Like, say if I took like three, like, okay, now to make up for the extra one, the next day I can only take one and do stuff like that just to do the math out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, try to
it's
like fucking stretch it out, even though I was overdoing it. Try to be like in my head thinking, oh, I gotta make this last 30 days. How can I do it? Okay, take one instead of two one day and cut it in half and do that type of shit. I was weird with it and it never worked out.
it's all the calculations.
Uh,
It's like, yeah, just trying to figure out like, oh, okay, don't worry, I'll take half tomorrow. I can double up today. And it never works out. Yeah, it's like when I would go on, if I was going on vacation or whatever when I was in addiction years ago, and I'd try and bring a certain amount of stuff, and I'd try and like ration it out, and I'd be worried about withdrawals. Man, I always ended up running out before, and it would just ruin the entire trip, and I'd be feeling like shit. I do not miss those days. I want to ask you about. Rehab. How did that come up? How did you end up at the lighthouse? How did that start?
I needed to get out of Florida, and it was a free ticket out. I didn't have the funds to go at the time, and so like, oh, pay for your tickets to come to California. So before I moved to Miami, that was one of the places I was going to go to. It was either LA or Miami, and I couldn't decide, so I went to Miami. And then eventually, I'm like, oh, I get to go to the other place I want to go to, so I'm going to go to LA to get clean. So I did that.
Yeah,
So.
and what was rehab like for you? Did you enjoy it or?
It was okay, but I wasn't ready yet. I was like 24 when I went, like. So I wasn't really ready yet. I didn't hit the bottoms that I didn't hit. I didn't have to lose. I didn't lose everything. I didn't go to the life experience that I've gone now between my 20s and my almost my 40s to be like, okay, I'm done with it. I didn't go through that then, so I wasn't really ready to surrender.
Yeah, I was the same way. As I remember sitting in rehab, and we've talked about it before. The same rehab, which is funny. But I remember sitting in there, and I knew that I had a problem. I knew that things weren't going that well. But I remember I still had my license. I still had my car. I still had a job because I had decent insurance when I went there. And I remember thinking that I need to make a change, but I knew deep down that I wasn't quite ready. And it was the same thing with you. I literally I think I lasted. They gave me my keys to my car, and I was back on stuff within a day. Like within a day. And that's when I started to realize I don't know if I have as much control over this as I always say I do. But I want to ask you, how long did you last outside of that first rehab?
I would say about a month or two, and then I moved to Hollywood. I left from Anaheim. I went to Hollywood, went to a sober house for a while, and then got a place with a roommate. And yeah, and I stopped going to meetings and I stopped doing everything all like I was supposed to do. And then went down that downward spiral. I'm like, oh, I got this new job. I need Adderall. Like my brain said, oh, you need Adderall to work. Like you need Adderall to function. So and then but that all didn't come. We started coming a problem till like my early 30s for me. Like if I was to take an Adderall now, like I'd black out, wake up in a hospital. And, like I can't even do it now. That's happened a couple times.
Oh, really? So it seemed to like get worse over time?
Yeah, yeah, then my legs start shaking, like, I can't even do that shit anymore, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to swear, but
Oh, no, it's fine. So you made it a month and a half. You end up moving to Hollywood. Did you start like meeting people that were using out there, or how did you fall back into it?
I started, I always had bad influences. I knew a few people out there in the industry because I was pursuing the career in the industry at that time, which I do a project I'm working on now, which I'll talk about later. And then, it just I was hanging out with people from the meetings that weren't really sober. Like, I call it, oh, I'm Cali sober. Like, you know what I mean? And then it was like I didn't really know anyone out there, and so I fell into old habits again. I stopped going to meetings, stopped working with my sponsor. Plus, I was only like 24 or 25 when I moved to LA. I wasn't ready yet. Like I said, I didn't go through the life experiences I've gone through now till now. When I'm like, okay, I'm done with this stuff. I'm tired of losing everything. It's like when relapsing, it's like putting your hand on a hot stove and getting burned over and over again. How many times are you going to do that until you say, okay, I'm done with that? I'm tired of that.
Yeah, and relapse sucks, man. It's just
Hmm.
so frustrating. I had 3 pretty bad ones. I used to say I like relapse all the time, but now when I look back on it, like once I really tried to get sober, I had 3 relapses after that. And it was 10 months, 6 months, and then like 9 or 10 months was the third one. And just waking up the next day or coming to and realizing that you're kind of starting all over again. It
Hmm.
was rough, man. It was so rough, and I would beat myself up so bad. What were your relapses like?
Losing everything, losing jobs, losing, getting not pay, being behind on my bills, getting addicted, ended up in psych wards to detox, and was like blacking out, not really remembering what I did the night before, just like people being angry with me, and just you know wasn't healthy. As I got older, they just got worse and worse. Like, like I told you, like the leg started shaking thing. That just started happening like a couple years ago, and the blacking out. Like one time I was hot. One time when I wasn't clean, I blacked out on a bus and woke up in the ER. I'm like, how the fuck did I get here? Like, I blacked out on a bus, and this all happened in a blackout. I got on another bus and checked myself into an ER when I was in a blackout. I don't even know I did that. My aunt can attest to that. She always tells me, how did you do that in a blackout? Because I've done that a couple times. I did that up in Boston because I was in Boston during COVID. I call her. I'm like, Auntie, I'm in the ER.
Oh, you
Like I
did
don't
it
know.
in a blackout?
Yeah, yeah, I do that shit, like, in a blackout, like, I don't know how I do that, but it's just crazy, and it's like I can't be doing that anymore.
Yeah, man, that is it is crazy how we can sometimes function in the
In a
blackouts, but it's
blackout, like, switch buses, check myself into an ER in a blackout, like, I don't even remember doing it. All I remember is just hopping on a bus, and then that was it. I don't even remember where I was going, and then I woke up later in the ER, I'm like, "What the fuck am I doing here?" Like, it was crazy, like, my using it just I can't be doing that. I'm lucky I woke up alive and didn't get hit by a car or some shit in a blackout. Not even crossing the street in a blackout. I don't even know how the hell I did that. I'm alive, so
yeah, man, and that's something to be grateful for. I kind of I look back on some of the times when I was blacked out. A lot of my blackouts came from Xanax mixed with alcohol, and I look back on all the times I was driving and stuff like that. I'm just like, man, so grateful that I didn't hit anyone. Wake up in jail and I asked the guard or whatever, "Hey, why am I here?" And they're like, "Dude, what do you mean? You killed 2 people last night in a blackout on Xanax." I'm just so grateful that didn't happen because it could have happened for me 100 times over as I look back on it.
Yep, that happened to me too. One time I was so high, I was walking down the streets, Beverly Hills. They arrested me for being under the influence. Like, yeah, that happened to me. Yeah, I've been there before. Waking up in a cell, and be like, what the fuck am I doing here?
It's
Yeah,
scary. It's a
it
scary
is.
feeling. I wanna ask you, what was the psych ward like?
Oh, I would just basically like go there just to detox and sleep. That was like instead of they say jails, institutions, or death. My thing was definitely loony bins, like to go detox and sleep in, like just to get clean for, and then yeah. So that's how it was. I would just basically go there to detox. Like you see a lot of crazy people, like, but I just go there and sleep and detox and just to get clean. Gratefully, I haven't had to be there in a long time, but yeah, it's been a while. But that's how I would just go there to detox. I want to go to a residential detox. I would just go to a psych ward and just detox. I'll be there for like 5 days and just be like, okay, I'm back to me again.
Oh, and just walk out of there? How long would
Yeah,
you
yeah,
let
just walk out. Yeah, because you're on a you're it's like a Baker Act chair is like what do they call that 5150 up in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they hold you against your will. Yeah. So that's what it's like down here, but it's you're in the psych ward and you just detox and to get clean. Last time I was there, I detoxed and went to treatment right from there a few years ago. So,
Yeah. And so when you went to treatment again, were you how many times do you think you've been total? I think I've been like 7 or 8.
oh, I think like four. I went to Florida. I've been in Cali. Yeah. I've been to a handful. But the thing is that I wasn't ready to surrender. So like, I didn't go through the life experiences like I'm up to now when I'm just like, okay, I'm done with this shit. Like I didn't finally hit like good enough bottom to be like, okay, I'm done with this shit for good.
Yeah, and what were some of the things that you started to experience to where you were like, "Okay, this is really becoming a problem?" Like, what made you start to really say, "Hey, look, maybe I need to do something different"?
Pissing through money, waking up, being like, okay, I spent so much money on this when I shouldn't have. People being mad at you, drunken texts, which caused me a lot of problems in my hell, caused me a lot of problems years ago, and just people being mad at me and just breaking people's trust. Because people think, oh, he's doing good, but then he relapses, and then people stop talking to you. They push people away, and then just losing everything, losing apartments and just having to be between places to get a new one. And it just, I'm done with that stuff. I can't be doing that anymore. I'm going to be 40 next year. I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah, man. How does it feel to have 60 days sober today, though?
It's good. I actually have it on Thursday. What's working for me this time is I'm doing IOP, which is working really good, and I'm listening to my counselor's his suggestions, which instead of my own brain is working really good. Because my brain's not my thinking is not the best. Like I'm listening to someone else's thinking instead of my own because I remember our brains want us dead. So that's working really good. Like I was seeing someone who wasn't sober, and I was thinking in my head, "Oh, if I'm sober enough, yeah, I can be around her as long as I don't use." And my counselor was like, "No, you need to cut ties with her." And I haven't talked to her in like 2 weeks, so I was able just to cut it off.
Yeah, man, which is hard to do. It's hard to do when you're into someone or you care about someone or they're hot or you're attracted to them. And I've had the same thinking where I'm like, look, I'm clean now. I don't want to go back to that stuff that was causing me a lot of pain. I feel better now. I could kind of still be around it. And I found out the hard way a couple times. There was a yeah, there was one time where I was in drug court and I went over to a friend's house, and man, I didn't know because I only knew her when she was sober. But I went over there and she had relapsed, and she pulled out every drug I've ever liked,
Mhm.
all at once. And it was interesting. I think I've talked about this previously at some point on the show, but I said no like right away. I was like, no, I'm cool. And we were watching a movie and stuff and just hanging out. And as time went on, as the movie was playing, it's starting, the wheels are turning in my head. And I'm like,
Exactly. You walking around the barber shop, you're gonna get a haircut at some point.
yeah, man. I'm like,
Mm.
oh, but this isn't just any drug. This is the drugs that I like. And I had court the next day for drug court for a progress hearing, and things had been going pretty good. I had no intentions in the beginning of that night to go to drugs. No intentions at all. Yet it happened. It just ended up being there, and I stuck around too long, put myself in a sketchy situation, and I paid the consequences for that. So good for you, man, for being able to just take some suggestion and say, hey, look, maybe I'm going to try it another way. Has the
Mhm.
counseling been helping a lot for you?
Yes, gotta give a shout out to my counselor, Tony Carrera. He's awesome. Like, he's really helped me, like, really understand my mind and how my mind works and with addiction. So I'm doing pretty good. I'm grateful to say I met him through the program. Met him at a meeting in Miami Beach a few months ago. So
When did you get introduced to like 12-step recovery for the first time?
right after I left the lighthouse. Oh no, I don't know exactly. I'm gonna scratch out when I was at the lighthouse. They would do an H&I there.
Oh, they're bringing panels and stuff. People are coming in. Yeah, and for anyone that's listening that doesn't understand what H&I is, it's hospitals and institutions. It's basically people that are sober, that are in recovery, and they take a meeting or some type of recovery experience into places where people can't get out to a meeting. They're not just free to just go wherever they want. So I heard a lot of H&I and various rehabs that I was at. I remember people would come into the Salvation Army. I remember people would come into Anaheim Lighthouse. I remember people would come into the jails. I heard a lot of H&I people at jails, detoxes. I'm grateful for that, man, because a lot of times, at the present time when they were there, I maybe didn't want to listen, or I felt sick, or I just wanted to go to bed. And sometimes they'd pull
Yeah,
us
no,
out
I
of bed
get that.
and detox and say, hey, we got some people here. And I remember going, oh, I don't want to listen to that shit right now. And man, people would blow the top of my head off with some of their stories and some of their hope. And it was hard for me to grasp a lot of information during those days when I was in detox. But there's some things that people have said at during panels when I was in detox that makes sense to me today. Years later, I'm like, oh, that's what that guy was talking about. I want to ask you, so you got introduced to AA at the lighthouse. Was it something you were always open to? Were you like kind of reluctant or not really wanting to participate in the beginning? What was that like for you in the beginning?
I was open to it. I was just ready to see what it was about, but wasn't really sticking because I was still young and dumb and full of cum. So I was still young and dumb then. So I wasn't really. I was listening to them. I'm like, yeah, these people are probably still using. So it's like, you know, yeah, I didn't really think everyone was serious.
Oh, I didn't either. People would say, "Hey, look, I've been sober for 12 years." I'd say, "12 years? What are you talking about, man?" And what was funny is I didn't understand why people were there after 12 years. Like I'm like, didn't you guys already heal from this? And I get it today. It's like they were coming back to not only get something from the meeting, but mainly to spread some hope. Like they were there for other people at that point. Like they had turned their whole life around and they were trying to meet new people. I didn't understand that whole process, but I remember being there for years, and I'd walk into the rooms of recovery, man, and I would not raise my hand, and I'd sit in the back. I'd get there late. I'd leave early, and I wouldn't really introduce myself to people, and I wanted to like raise my hand and say something. I wanted to find help. I wanted to start meeting new people, but I wouldn't stick around long enough. You know, I'd show up and I wouldn't really, I loved being there, but I just wouldn't get involved. And you mentioned it earlier, it took you years to start the steps. I was the same way. There was a lot of things that I was not willing to do until after this last relapse. And that's when I said, look, I'm willing to do anything at this point. Like, and it's like you said, where you're like, man, my thinking was getting me in trouble. It was the same way for me. Like I had to do something different this time. How did you get to that place? How did you finally get to the place where you're like, you know what? I'm going to try the things I haven't been willing to do up until this point.
Because my thinking wasn't working. I was going to meetings, not getting wasn't getting a sponsor, wasn't working the steps, and wasn't getting numbers. Like I was always shy to reach out and get numbers and stuff. And I'm like, maybe I should just start doing the fellowship and working all three parts of the triangle, and it will work. Like I've been hearing people say in the meetings, oh, once they did this, once they did that, then turn your life over to a creator greater than yourself. Once you start praying every day, like I never prayed. People be like, oh, are you praying? Are you praying? I'm like, no, I just started praying recently. You know, I started doing the suggestions that people share about in the meetings, and I'm like, okay, these people honestly know something better than I do because they got more clean time than me. So
Yeah, that was the thing too. Is I remember hearing people talking about stuff they were doing to stay sober, and in the beginning, I'm like, dude, it's not gonna work for me. Like I had all these reasons as to why I knew the right way, but I'd be sitting there like again with like a day sober, if that, and all these people had years, and I finally realized, look, these people know a little bit more than me about staying sober. Like I had to finally admit that. It took me a long time, but when I did, things they started to get better, man. It's a better life. I want to ask you, how did you get to the years of sobriety?
well, I was actually going to meetings, but I was dry though. I wasn't working a program. I wasn't really doing anything. Like I was just going to meetings, but I was staying out of nightclubs, staying away from the Adderall, just focusing on work at the time, and just really devoting my time into work, and just was staying away from the temptation. That's what it was. But after a while, the thoughts start coming in. Oh, maybe I can just use this one time, and that will be fine. And then that one time, you're back on the hamster wheel, and that's what it's been, the cycle off and on for like the last, say, 10 years or so. But now I'm finally not listening to that brain of mine.
Yeah, I was similar. I never could get to years of sobriety, but once I did have some time, I mean, you just basically described how it was for me. I'd be staying away from kind of negative places and trying to stay away from negative people and trying to stay off hard drugs, and my life would start to get a little bit better, and the same thinking would happen to me. It was like, man, I kind of miss like just having a couple beers or something, or maybe I should go back to,
You're in the relapse mind. You thought of it, you're going to relapse. That the thought, you're
yeah.
back on the hamster wheel.
Oh yeah, I was like, you know what it was? Is I felt like I always had to have something, like like I need something, and I'd be holding off from addiction for so long, and I felt like I was just squeezing onto sobriety so tight. Like I needed some type of relief. I felt like, because I didn't have a program, man. Like I didn't have any recovery. I was just kind of like just gnarly white knuckling it. But the thing was, is I would get so uncomfortable that eventually a drink would sound like a good idea, or a lot of times for me it was like not even my drug of choice. Like I would justify getting high on something, like I'd be like, oh, I could do this because I don't really do this drug that much or
You're
whatever.
substitute switching addictions. Exactly.
Yeah, I would just substitute it out, and ultimately for me, it led me back to the same thing. I want to ask you though, man. We were talking a little bit about the eating and stuff. Can you talk a little bit about quitting the drugs, quitting the Adderall, and then in sobriety, kind of turning to food?
Yeah, when I was like starting like my late 20s, my addiction was more so food, like the binge eating. That's when it's really started. Was in my late 20s. Like I was switching addictions, and like I mostly like binge eat at night. Like I still struggle with that. Like I had lipo like twice. People would be like, "You've had lipo in your 20s?" I'm like, "Yeah, I used to be really heavy." Like, but I still like I'm. It's hard though. Like I'm like it's hard to that's ooh, you brought up a very good topic. Like if binging at night is still hard for me, but it's like for like the last few years, a lot of the thing with the Adderall was like, oh, I could go eat all I want and just pop some Adderall every few months and go on a binge and like lose the weight. And it's like I can't be doing that anymore. I had to stop doing that. Like my brain's like I was just telling my counselor last week, like yeah, my brain's telling me, yeah, you need to go do some Adderall to lose like 20 pounds. Like I can't be doing that anymore. You know, like that's another thing. Like I was saying earlier, like when your mind changes, like your thinking changes. You know, so it's
Yeah.
like so I'm learning how to eat healthy without popping Adderall to lose the weight. You know, it's hard, but it's like that's what I'm working on right now.
I'm glad you bring that up too. You're not the first one to bring that up on the show. A friend of mine, Robert,
Yeah,
he had surgery as well. He talks about that, and I've heard a lot of people, a lot of women, a lot of men that that's why they love even meth or Adderall or stimulants because it's like when you first start it and you're not eating as much and your body is like so hyperactive, you start dropping weight people start to think, "Damn, man, I look good." You know? Like I've lost more weight on this drug than I have ever. And of course, meth is a little bit different because you kind of fall off at some
oh
point
yeah,
and then you start to look really bad. But I'm glad you bring that up because I've heard that a lot. I've heard where people say, "Look, man, it keeps the weight down," and for someone that has struggled with eating and stuff, it's like I know that's why a lot of people turn to stimulants as well. And I kind of want to touch on you mentioned how you used to take Adderall like prescribed. What is
yeah.
that?
Yeah, I got diagnosed with ADHD at a very young age. People that know me can tell I was really hyperactive as a kid. Then I went from like D's and F's to straight A's when I was in like in middle school when I was put on it. Like I started with Ritalin when Ritalin came out, and then and then like by the mid to late '90s, like Adderall was a new thing, and then so I was doing that, and then so I stuck with it like for school and college, and so and then I want to say on my mid no early 20s that's when I started abusing it, like going out clubbing like I said, and pulling all nighters and going clubbing and then going to work the next day feeling hungover and like I'm sorry, feeling hungover and just kind of need that extra push to go to work the next morning from going because the clubs are out here don't come close to like 5 a.m. So you can be clubbing all night and then having to go to work at like 8 a.m. You need something just to wake you up, you know.
Yeah, and is it hard now being sober and not
I don't live
having
like that. That was my 20s. That's not my 30s. That was how I was in my 20s. Just want to clarify that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, no
Yeah.
worries, but, is it hard to not have, like, ADHD medication now, or, like, were they able to find something for you? How does that work?
I'm not on anything right now, and I'm doing pretty well. Like, I had a friend tell me when I was in my 20s, like, once you get in your 30s, your ADHD pretty much diminishes. Like, he was able to read books and everything without, like, any meds. Like the only thing like I really struggle with, like I can't watch like I can't binge watch on TV shows like episode after episode. Like I just watched the new season King of the Hill. Like I couldn't watch episode after episode. I was watching like 2 episodes a day. Like I couldn't do like 6 episodes back to back. Like yeah, so that's like the thing with that. Like I can't really I'm not into video games anymore like I used to be either. But work is fine. If it's something I'm interested in, like I'm starting a business, recovery business, we'll talk about that later. Like I sent you the email about, like, yeah, that's fun. And yeah, if it's something I'm interested in, yeah, I can definitely focus on. So
Yeah, man,
but
let's talk about that. Tell me about the recovery business.
so I was about 2 or 3 years ago. I was coming back from a relapse, and I was watching content about getting sober and like podcasts and stuff in different apps. I'm like, oh, there should just be an app for this. Like, put all this content in like one app, like a Netflix. So I've been like a streaming app. I've been sitting on the idea for like 2 or 3 years now, and then like I decided I made the LLC, got the patent. I didn't think I was gonna get the patent though. I'm like, someone's got this idea by now. Someone's got this idea, like a streaming app with recovery content. Like it's a pretty good idea. I just finished my business plan last month, and then yeah, so like addiction's a worldwide thing. Like Netflix is a worldwide thing, so I get to go and close deals all around the world. It's going to be crazy. Like I have to go to London either the end of this year or the beginning of next year to close the first deal. It's pretty amazing. So sorry, I know I'm talking a little too fast. I'm just excited about it. So the breakdown of the app would be like recovery documentaries, all the podcasts, because all the podcasts are right now are in multiple spots. So it's good to have them all in one spot. That audiobooks and what was the other thing? Stories from people in recovery sharing the story all around the world. And also, what was there was more stuff, and I'm having a brain fart right now. Oh God, what was I forget? But it's just basically all recovery stuff, and so yeah, that's what it is in a nutshell.
That's cool, man. How did you come up with that?
Like I said, I was coming back from a relapse, and I was watching recovery content in different apps. I'm like, oh, they should just put all this recovery content in one app because it's all spread out. So yeah, so like I said, it's going to be all the documentaries are out, all the podcasts, and like audiobooks, people sharing their stories, and just yes, all recovery content because it's all spread out in different apps. It's like I'm
Yeah.
surprised it hasn't been done. I didn't think I was getting the patent. I was like, someone's got this idea by now. Someone's got to have this idea. I got the patent in March of this year. It's called Recovery Raw. I'll send you the links.
Yeah, man. Send me the stuff. That is I
I
mean, it's
can't
a
believe
great
it.
idea. It's a great
I'm
idea.
surprised it hasn't been done yet.
Yeah, I mean it's true, like stuff the recovery stuff is all over the place. Some places you
Mhm.
have to go to YouTube, and then you got like the shorts on TikTok, and then you got,
That's how I found you. Yep.
yeah, it's just kind of all over the place, but I think people will love that. Just having
I
like this place where they're like, "Look, I get to find all my recovery stuff that is online, all my content in one place." And that's a great idea. I'm happy to hear that, man. Thank you for talking about that as well. And that's got to feel good. It's I
It
feel like
does. That's why, as you see, I started talking my I'm
yeah.
talking really fast about it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're excited about it. And I kind of brings me to kind of the next thing that I'll talk about is just it's so important, I think, to find like that passion. Like we get
That's
sober, we put the drugs down, we start to, like you mentioned, having counseling and having 12-step stuff and a counselor that's really helped you. And I think it's just so important to find a way to just start enjoying life and especially and you start to really find that when you get into your passion. Something that like you mentioned, when you're into something like the ADHD doesn't affect you because you're just into it and you're focused,
hmm
I think that's so important, finding a passion in sobriety. Would you agree with that?
yes, exactly. That's what I'm doing. Like, I can't. If you would have told me I'd be doing this when I went to Lighthouse, like, I wouldn't believe. I'm like, yeah, you're crazy. I wouldn't believe you. Like, if we crossed paths when I was at Anaheim at the Lighthouse, I wouldn't have believed you. I'm like, yeah, you're full of shit.
Yeah, man. What's been the hardest thing about these 60 days sober, coming up on 60 days?
Staying away from someone who is using, which I shared earlier, like I had to back away from that girl because like my counselor talked about like she's gonna lead into relapse, and so but it's like now it's like shit, I don't even think about it anymore. So
And did you, like, say anything to her, or did you just kinda
yeah, I just
distance
started
yourself?
off with her. Yeah, I just started talking to her. Like I met her at the meetings like a few months ago, and I just started to stop talking to her. Like yeah, I'm just like, you know what, so you're in and out of sobriety. I just got 60 days. Like, I just can't be doing this anymore. I told her I'm trying to focus on me and do the right thing. And
Yeah, man, and it's hard, but I imagine that's gotta feel pretty good for you being in a
Mhm.
position now where you kinda it sounds like you realize now, like you said in your 20s, it was like, "Oh, we're going out and stuff," but now it seems like you're at that point that I reached as well, where you're just done. Like, you're
Yeah,
over having to
it
to
comes with
re
maturity and age as well.
Yeah, do you think it's just getting older, being through the experiences that you've been through, kind of understanding the negative road that it always leads to, just all of that combined has just got you to a place where you're just ready to be done?
Yes, I'm done with it. Yep. Well, yeah, like the last relapse, I had a few relapses in June and July, and I was just like, I was doing the Adderall to lose weight, and I just had a really bad relapse. I'm like, hey, I can't do this anymore. I'm just like, I'm done. I'm just done with it.
Yeah. I want to ask you, what do you think's helped you the most in these 60 days? Is it the counselor? Is
Yeah,
it the
doing IOP. Yeah, my counselor done my IOP session's really working well for me. Like I'm really doing well with him. He's working wonders on me
That's cool, man.
for me.
Good for you. Had you ever tried counseling before?
No, but it was been suggested for a few years for me, but I was just like, nah, I don't need it. Don't need it. It was suggested by the caseworker from I receive outpatient services from a wellness organization that's helped me with my app, and they've been suggesting me going to counseling for a while, and I'm just like, nah, I don't need it. Don't need it. I'm not that bad, but I'm really doing it. God brought it to me, so it's really working for me.
Yeah, and have you always had a relationship with God? Is that something that you formed recently? What's your
Something I
background?
formed recently. Yep.
Yeah, and how did because I get a lot of questions about that where people are like, "Look, I'm trying to kind of come up with a concept or have a relationship with my own kind of higher power, or God." How did you kind of work towards that? How did you kind of start to form that?
Um, just by praying every day, like following my sponsor's suggestion by doing was it the second step when you pray every day, or the third? I'm still learning the steps. Like I'm just learning the steps for the first time. So yeah, he had me praying morning and night.
Yeah, how are the steps been so far for you?
Easy, yeah. Like I didn't like I'm doing my fourth step right now, and I only have like maybe like five resentments. I don't have a lot.
See, and it's funny too because I remember and I've talked about this before, but I remember sitting in like recovery meetings and they'd have like the steps on the wall, and I remember
Hmm.
reading them and they just seemed like so intimidating. And I'd read like step 4 is like moral inventory, and I just hear nightmares about people talking about step 4. And it was funny because I just put it off for so many years, and then when I got to kind of the place that you've talked about that you're in, where I'm like, "Look, I'm gonna try everything I can to get sober. Like, I'm willing to try anything." And I started doing it, and, I found out that it was like, man, I made that such a big deal, you know? Like, I turned it into a bigger deal in my head. I was, like, so scared to do so many things, and once I just started to do them instead of, like, tripping about doing them, things finally just started to get better. But was it hard for you to ask someone to be your sponsor?
No, because I've known this person for a while. He has I just started going to meetings again like 4 years ago. No, no, actually 5 years ago. So I've known this person for a while. So I know he has 11 years clean. So I asked him to be my sponsor, and so he's someone I look up to a lot. And yeah, so when I was going to meetings when I was in my 20s, like I wouldn't talk to anyone at the meetings really. Like not a lot of people. Like I was shy, I wouldn't get numbers. So I had a hard time. I wouldn't get a sponsor when I was in LA, but now it's easy because it's like I know I need it.
Yeah. Oh, I was the same way. Like I remember people would like come up to me and they're like, "Hey man, like take my number." And I'm like, "No, I'm good." you know. But once I finally like needed the help, it's important, man. It's great to have people to call. People
Hmm.
even if you're just like texting them, just being in contact with other people that are in sobriety, it helps because it gets rough out there sometimes. And I want to ask you too, did you ever have any close calls in these 60 days? Not where like maybe
No.
okay, so you were good.
Hmm. Because
Uh,
I know if I have the thought or jump up with my hands to it, I'm going to lose everything, and it's not worth it. So no cravings, no nothing.
Dude, that's awesome, man. That's got to feel damn good.
Hmm.
Well, what's next for you over this next year? What's your goal in sobriety? I know you're going to be working on the app and everything. What's your goal over the next year?
That maintain sobriety, better myself, just go upward in life because I just want to go upward. You know, whatever God has planned for me. Just stay go on the path that God has planned for me. You know,
Yeah, man. And
I
have
know it's
you
pretty broad, but
No, that's great. It's like, I think it's a great goal, and it's
stay sober and everything else will fall into place. You know.
yeah. It took me so long to realize that. Like, sobriety was it was literally, like, the last thing I was willing to try, but, like, the only thing that really changed everything else. Like, it's like once I finally got sober, so many other things started to get better. Like, my life just started to improve, and I love that you mentioned going up because I feel like when I was in addiction, it was just constantly going down. Yeah. It was just going down, and I really like that you bring up just the whole cycle because it was the same thing for me, man. It was like it was just hell towards the end, and I remember thinking like, "Where did the fun times go?" Because I was always I was always trying to make it back. I always had this idea in my head every time that I was going to get high again or to relapse again. I always had this idea in my head that I was gonna make it back to the first few times when I was having a good time, and I just could never make it back there, you know? Was it like that for you to where you were trying to get back
Exactly.
to it,
Yeah,
but
trying to get back to my 20s. Yeah, you can't do that. It's not going to be like that. Different places, circumstances, and situations not going to bring me back there.
yeah, man. That's good stuff, bro. I appreciate you coming on here and talking about all this stuff. Something that I normally ask people when they come on is like, what would your advice be to someone who has been out there? Maybe they were in our position, right? Where we went to rehab, we weren't quite ready. Maybe we were in our 20s and now they're kind of getting towards their 30s, 40s. What would your advice be to them on something they could do to kind of start working on sobriety?
Work a program, because if you got to work a program. Do you mean like if they're getting sober or they're just sober-ish, like, or just coming back from a relapse? Like,
I mean, like full on, like if they want like long
oh, if
term
they if
sobriety.
it's new to them for like the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that is a good question. I would say go to meetings, go get a support group, and if you're gonna know when you're ready to get sober once you finally hit a bottom. Like, like it's taken me several years to you just gotta be ready to it. You gotta be ready. You gotta be open. You gotta be ready to say enough's enough, and you just want a better life. Like, how many times can you go through losing everything and just ruining your life to when you get to a point where like enough's enough, you're done and you just want to better yourself. I think I answered that pretty good, right?
Yeah, no, that was great. And that's enough is enough. It took me a long time to get there, man. It took me a really long time to get there. My hope for anyone that is out there suffering is that eventually they reach that point where they've had enough, where they are just, because a lot of us, unfortunately, a lot of us don't get there, and we continue to try and beyond the hamster wheel, like you mentioned, and we try and make things kind of work out for us. Like, oh, somehow I'm going to make this work, or I'm going to just do this substance, or maybe I'll just drink. And did you ever have any of that where maybe you put the Adderall down and then I know we talked about food, but did you ever like put the Adderall down and then pick up alcohol? Did you ever like switch from
Yeah. Yeah, I switched. Yeah, when I was in my 20s, it was alcohol and going out clubbing and drinking at nightclubs. And yeah, I was definitely switching addictions a lot in my 20s, like, doing a lot of cocaine, drinking, and, I stopped that. And once I left Miami, because there was a lot of that going around here and a lot of cocaine running around in Miami, I had to stop doing that once I got to Cali.
Yeah, Miami's like the hub for cocaine, isn't it?
Yep.
All right, man. I'm getting towards the end here. I appreciate you coming on. What is recovery like out there? What are the meetings like out there? How do you like it?
I like it. Like, I'm doing a 90 and 90, and yeah, it's definitely, I like the Miami meetings really good. Like, it's really hip, it's fun, and there's a lot of good support down here. And that's why, as you see, it's working for me because I'm sober talking to you today. So it's really good. I like Miami meetings. I was in Fort Lauderdale for a while, wasn't really getting anything out of Fort Lauderdale, so I came back to Miami.
Yeah, and I remember before we started today, you were talking about the like the geography change or like moving moving to different places, like thinking that it's gonna, get us sober. I did a lot of that. I mean, I had so many damn addresses. I couldn't even keep track of all of them. I was always moving to different cities, different
Was it
sober
most
livings.
in California, or were you moving to other states as well?
Yeah, mainly California.
Okay.
I was moving to different places in California and hoping, like, I'd say, "Man, I need to get out of this city," and I believe sometimes moving sometimes and starting fresh, it can be a good thing, but the thing is that was the only thing I did
But you're
different.
bringing yourself with you, you're bringing the
Yeah.
same problems.
Like, I'm like, "Oh, I just can't stay in that town or city. That's where I get high, this and that," and then I'd move somewhere else, and what's the first thing I'm doing? I'm asking people, like, where to get stuff at.
Yeah, exactly.
And then fast forward, the weird thing and the irony in all of it is once I was finally ready to work on me and change me, I got sober in the city I was getting high in. So for all these years, I tried moving to get sober. And then when I finally was ready and realized it was kind of an internal thing, suddenly
Mhm.
the environment didn't really matter as much, which is a trip to look at, but Mike, man, you got any final words to anyone out there? Anyone suffering? Anyone just trying to hang on for one more day sober? I know you've already given a bunch of great
Don't
advice.
yes, I'll say, don't give up hope, reach out, there's help out there, there's a 24-hour AA hotline if you need to talk to someone or go to a meeting, reach out, listen to a podcast, there's a lot of content out there, there's a lot of support out there, you just gotta do the footwork and find it, it's out there if you really want it.
Yeah, man, Mike, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time to tell your story as well.
Cool, I'll email you my socials, and then
Get it all over to me. I'm gonna put it.
yep.
Anyone listening, I'm gonna get it in the episode details. You want to reach out to Mike, all the information will be there. All his socials will be there. Thanks, Mike, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right, you have a good night.